Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about the angle addition postulate, and what this postulate tells us is that if two angles share a vertex to form a new angle, the measure of the new angle is the sum of the two smaller angles. Alright, and we're going to show exactly what that means with this example. So here are two small angles that share a vertex are A, O, M, and M, O, S, F, and they form this big angle A, O, F. Alright, so what the angle addition postulate tells us is that if we take the two smaller angles, so angle AOF, and add them together, so plus angle MOF, then they'll always equal that big angle on the outside, which is angle AOF, and I'm going to go ahead and highlight that, which is our big angle. Alright, so we can use this principle to solve different types of problems. We are going to go through three different sets of examples. In the first example set, we're only going to solve for the measure of the angle. Alright, so in this example, the measure of angle QRS, so we have QRS is this one, is 164 degrees. And the measure of angle QRU, so let's go QRU, is 34 degrees. Alright, so we want to find the measure of angle URS. So I'm going to set up my problem the same way I did up here. Zoom in a little so we have more space to write. So I'm going to start with the big angle, which is angle QRS. And that's going to equal QRU plus angle URS. Alright, so I have my setup. Now I'm going to go through and substitute what I know is true. So the question tells me that QRS is 164 degrees. So I'm going to write that instead of angle QRS. 164 degrees equals QRU tells me it's 34 degrees, and I also wrote that in here. So I'm going to take that and write it in for QRU, 34 degrees, plus, I don't know what URS is. That's what I'm solving for. So you can either write it as URS and bring that down. I'm going to write it as X, because it's our unknown. And now all we have to do is solve for X. So we want to get it by itself. I'm going to subtract 34 from both sides, which is going to cancel here. 164 minus 34 is 130 degrees equals X. So angle URS equals 130, and that is our answer. Alright, now we're going to try this next one together. If you can do it by yourself, go ahead and do it by yourself, but I'm going to talk through the example as well. So here we have the measure of angle CLK, so CLK right here, is 110 degrees. Alright, let's draw a little angle there. And the measure of angle MLC, so let's follow those letters, MLC right here is 69 degrees. Find the measure of MLK. So MLK is our big angle. So MLK, based on the angle addition postulate, MLK is equal to angle CLK plus angle MLC. And we're going to go through and substitute all of the information that we already know. So I know that CLK is 110 degrees. I wrote it in my diagram, and I also know from the question itself, plus angle MLC is 69 degrees. So angle MLK is going to equal 110 plus 69, which is 179 degrees. And there's my answer. Alright, pretty easy stuff. Just take all your information, make sure you label your diagram, and make sure you get your problem set up correctly. Remember, the big angle is always by itself, and then you add the two smaller angles together. Alright, for our next example, we have kind of the same thing, except now we're solving for x. Alright, so our principle is going to stay the same. Our postulate is going to stay the same. We have some expressions, some algebraic expressions instead of just numbers. So we're going to start reading the question. Angle PLM, so let's follow that. PLM is right here. Has a measure of x plus 92. Alright. And angle KLP has a measure of x plus 87. So we want to find the measure of, and then KLM here is 155, and we want to solve for x. Alright, so we're not finding the measure of the angle, we are just solving for the value of x. So we're going to set this up the same way as before. So KLM is going to equal PLM plus KLM. Alright, and then I'm going to substitute everything that I know. So I know that KLM is 155 degrees. I know that PLM is represented by x plus 92. I'm going to bring down that plus sign. And I know that angle KLM is represented by the expression x plus 87. Alright, so we have an algebraic equation set up now. What I'm going to do first is go through and combine my like terms. I'm going to put all of my variables, all of my x's in green. I'm going to add all of those together, all of my numbers in pink, and we're going to add those together as well. So x plus x is going to give me 2x, and those are our greens added together, plus 92 plus 87. Let me put that in my calculator. 92 plus 87 is 179, and those are our peaks added together, and all of this still equals 155. Alright, and now we just have a two-step equation. So we want to get x by itself. I'm going to start by subtracting that 179 from both sides. Canceling on the right side, we're going to get 155 minus 179 is negative 24 equals 2x. Last step is going to be to divide by 2. So negative 24 divided by 2 is negative 12 equals x, and that is my answer. So now, if you're unsure of your answer, you can always take your value of x and plug it into your expressions to check that your answer is correct. So I'm going to go ahead and work from this point to show that our expression is correct. So instead of x, I'm going to have negative 12 plus 92 plus negative 12 plus 87. So when I add all of this together, I should get 155. If I don't, then I know I made a math error and I have to go back and check my answer. So negative 12 plus 92 is 80, plus negative 12 plus 87 is 75. 80 plus 75 is 155, which means that my answer is correct. Alright, so I'm going to put this in a box and just label it as check your work. Alright, so I'm going to do a second example here. You can try and set it up on your own. I'm going to talk us through it again. So we're starting with the measure of angle UFG is 27x minus 2. So UFG is 27x minus 2. Alright, and the measure of angle EFU is 20 degrees. Alright, and EFG, so EFG is 31x minus 6. So we're going to set up our postulate. So EFG is going to equal UFG plus EFU. Alright, so now we're going to go through and plug in everything that we know. So EFG I know is 31. Oops, that's not red. So EFG is 31x minus 6 equals UFG is 27x minus 2, and EFU is 20. So we have a little bit of a different setup here because we have that variable on both sides, which means we are going to have to do a little bit more algebra to get all of our x's on one side and then all of our numbers on the other side. Before we do that though, we have to combine any like terms that we have on either side. On the right side, we can combine that negative 2 and that 20. So that's going to change my equation into 27x plus 18 equals 31x minus 6. Alright, so I'm going to start by getting rid of my numbers first. So I see this negative and I don't want to work in negative, so I'm going to get rid of that negative first. So we always do opposite operations. So if I have minus 6, I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So that's going to cancel. I'm going to be left with 31x on the left side equals 27x. 18 plus 6 is 24. Alright, and now I want to get all my x's on one side. Because 31x is already by itself, I'm going to get rid of the 27x on the right side so that I don't wind up with 0 and also negatives. So I'm going to subtract 27 from both sides. 27x, sorry. So drop my equal sign. That's going to cancel, which is just going to leave me with 24. 31 minus 27 is 4x. Last step is to divide by 4 on both sides to get x by itself. 24 divided by 4 is 6. Alright, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come back to this point and check our work. So everywhere I see an x, I'm going to substitute that 6. So I'm going to have 31 times 6 minus 6 equals 27 times 6 minus 2 plus 20. Alright, so whatever I get on the left side should be the same as what I get on the right side, or I made a math error. Alright, so we're going to go 31 times 6 gives me 186 minus 6, and then 27 times 6 is 162 minus 2 plus 20. Alright, so 186 minus 6 is 180. 162 minus 2, we're going to do this in steps, is 160 plus 20. I'm going to bring down that 180. 160 plus 20 is 180. I have the same thing on both sides, so my answer is correct. And again, this is just our check your work box. Alright, so now we know how to solve for x using this postulate. The last two examples we're going to do, we're going to solve for the measure of the angle indicated. That means that we have to solve for x first, and then use our number to solve for the measure of the angle it's asking for. Alright, so here we're solving for the measure of angle DLK. So I'm going to do that in red. We're looking for the measure of angle DLK. So we don't know how much it measures, but we do know it has this expression. So DLK has a measure of x plus 59. Alright? And we know that MLD, we'll do that in purple, MLD has a measure of x plus 33. And the question tells us that MLK is 90 degrees, which, if you remember from our angle pairs video, means it's a right angle. So MLK is a right angle. So let's go ahead and get that set up. So angle MLK is going to equal angle MLD plus angle DLK. Alright, and we're going to go through and substitute everything that we labeled in our example here. So MLK is 90 degrees. It's going to write that 90 equals angle MLD is represented by x plus 33. We're going to add that to the expression for DLK, which is x plus 59. Alright, and we have everything that we need to set up our problem. We're going to combine our like terms, so all of our x's and all of our numbers. So x plus x gives me 2x, 33 plus 59 is 92 equals 90. So now we have a two-step equation. We want to get x by itself. We're going to subtract 92 from both sides. That cancels. 90 minus 92 gives me negative 2 equals 2x. I'm going to divide by 2, both sides. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1 equals x. We are not done yet, alright, because we want the measure of angle DLK. Alright, so that means we're going to take our value for x and substitute it into that expression. Alright, so I'm going to do that under here in blue. So measure of angle DLK equals x plus 59. So instead of having that x there, I'm going to write in -1 because I know that that is the value of x. So I have -1 plus 59, which is going to give me 58 degrees, is the measure of angle DLK. Add those two together. Let's make that a better 8. 58 degrees. Alright, so here we're kind of taking the two different concepts from the two examples that we did before this and putting them together. So we're going to do the same thing. This is our last example. So let's go through and start labeling. So angle LMN is our big angle. LMN measures 106 degrees. Okay. Angle PMN is represented by the expression 15x plus 3, and angle LMP is represented by the expression 20x minus 2. Alright, so let's get our formula, our equation set up. So angle LMN equals angle angle PMN plus angle LMP. Alright, so LMN I know is 106 degrees because that is what the question tells me. 106 equals PMN, we don't have a value for, but we do have an expression, so it's going to be 15x plus 3. We're going to add the expression for LMP, which is 20x minus 2. Alright, we have a very similar setup to the problem we did before. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add all of our x's together, and then we're going to add all of our numbers together. Alright, so let's bring down that 106 because that's not changing. 15x plus 20x is going to give me 35x equal plus 3 minus 2 is 1. Alright, we have a two-step equation set up. So we're going to subtract 1 from both sides, which gives me 105 degrees equals 35x. And I just need to divide both sides by 35. So 105 divided by 35 is 3. So 3 equals x. But we're not done yet. We have to go back and look at our question and see what it's asking us to solve for. So it's asking us to find the measure of PMN. So we're going to take our expression for PMN right here. So measure of PMN is going to equal 15x plus 3, and we're going to go through and substitute the value of x that we solved for. So instead of 15 times x, I'm going to have 15 times 3 plus 3. Bring down my measure of angle PMN. So 15 times 3 is 45 plus 3. 45 plus 3 is 48. So the measure of angle PMN is 48 degrees. And we're done. These notes are going to go up on Google Classroom, and there will be some practice problems for you guys to do.